Hey, yeah, Dad started our company in 1964. Uh, Over the years, he's moved around the Mount Airy market a little bit with his offices. He's always said our company was founded and operates on biblical principles, and we try our best to do that today. I can remember, and y'all can't see me, but I'm pointing down the road from where we're sitting over here on EMS Drive. But he had a one-room office, and he was on Pine Street in Mount Airy early years ago, West Pine Street, then 601. And when he was on 601, it was a one room office across from Hardee's. Hardee's was relatively new. So if you think about that, Hardee's was relatively new between the Nissan place and Hardee's on 601 or Rockford Street. It was mostly woods on both sides of the road. I hunted with friends and hiked in the woods where, the Staples, uh, oh, the Chili's. I'm just trying all these restaurants and retail and hotels out here. This was in woods, even in the '80s. So a lot of it in the '80s. So, but guess what? Dad sold that land for a family, and that led to a lot of the development. And that day, he sold it to Richard Vaughn and Kester Sink, and many of you know those names. And they developed a lot of the retail out here. So good stuff. He hired Otis Brinkley. Otis was a veteran, a great big man with a big heart, and I mean big in stature, and a fine person. And the two of them really kicked off our Rogers Realty venture. And like I said, moved around over the years, 5 locations. We were in the church building over here across from Walgreens for several years, and now we're over here on EMS Drive. Uh, the late Lonnie Bledsoe, retired Mount Airy High School principal, worked with us for some time, and his wife Betty. The late Ken Floyd, retired Navy guy, worked with us. The late, um, and I'm starting to feel old. Late Sam O'Neill, and he was a brother to former Commissioner Fred O'Neill, and a lot of good people. They did great things for us back in the day. Steve Oakley's worked with us, Vernon Luffman, and so early '80s. Yeah, I mean, I was at Surrey Community and out of North Surrey, went to Surrey Community, was taking business management, took the real estate class while I was there. It was offered there at that time, and so I did it all close. And next thing you know, I was working, going to school in the morning and working in the afternoons. That was it. And I think about mid '80s, '85, '86, Deidre joined us. She'd been at the time Workman's Federal, and that was a good experience because she did everything from the teller line to making opening checking accounts and saving accounts, but eventually was making helping with mortgage loans, and she was doing that prior to getting in the real estate industry with us. So my sister Susan, she was at Wachovia at the time. It was Wachovia in Winston-Salem, and working in the trust department. She worked there a while. Then she joins us. So yeah, lots changed since that 1981 era. In fact, I mentioned Hardee's. Dad tells a story about uh, sitting at Hardee's across from that one room office. A guy came to him and says, "Hey, Bracky, you showed me that house. I really want to put in an offer on it." Of course, he said, "Absolutely." The guy says, "I'm running out of town for a few days. What do we need to do?" And Dad said he scrambled. He said, "Well, the office is across the street." The guy says, "I'm in a hurry." He gets a napkin out of the holder and he writes that, let's just say Mr. Joe Jones wants to purchase Mr. Joe Smith's home, 100 ABC Street, Mount Airy, and we'll pay 30,000. The guy signed it. He took the napkin to the seller. They signed it. He took it to Workman's Federal Savings and Loan, and they said, "Looks like a contract to us," and made a loan. And the napkin was the contract. So, yeah,
Wow.
our primary means of marketing was a Mount Airy newspaper and a sign in the yard. And then even, of course, we didn't always use a napkin, but we had probably a 1, 2 page contract. That was then. Now, we had 24 real estate brokers on our team. I say millennials to baby boomers, a great staff. We're proud of our team. We stress family business when we're interviewing agents, and we've had agents and would-be agents say, hey, the family business, I don't know. I understand if you're not a Rogers, you don't make any money over there. You have to be a family member. You have to be an owner since it's a family business. We said, no. You got to understand, our goal is to treat you as family, for you to feel like family. And we want you to be successful, because if they're successful, then the company is successful. As simple as that. So a great team. The real estate purchase contract is not a napkin. It's not one page. It's the standard purchase contract for a residential dwelling today is 15 pages.
Wow.
So a lot of change, 15 pages. There are addendums that can add 6, 10, 15 more pages. So the transactions are very complex. The business is not easy. It's almost a myth, I think, that some folks think it's easy money. It really never has been, but it's really not easy money today. So our people work hard, and they're up for the task. So used to take a couple of weeks to 30 days to close the deal. Now 60 days is average. It keeps taking longer and longer. I don't understand it. I really don't like it, but it's just the structure today. The digital age has had a big impact, and for many, many, many years. But certainly, you take a year with COVID, it's had an impact. But so today, we communicate with cell phones and text and emails as you do in your businesses. But digital signatures is more common. It was common before COVID, but the dot loop and DocuSign is how we get a lot of contracts signed. We sell real estate to people we do not meet, other than like this or by cell phone. And that's not commonplace, but we're seeing more and more of that. Folks from out of town will send somebody to look for them. So we have sold real estate to people that bought it sight unseen. Somewhat of a rarity, but today with the digital age, you can do the documents in this digital format, and it works. It's good with the lawyers, it's good with the lenders, it's good with us, and so that's nice. So a lot of marketing through Facebook and Google and other sources to not only market real estate but to find agents. So hey, let's look at the industry. Rates are at historic lows. Banks are eager to make loans. Money's readily available. If somebody has a good work ethic and good credit, they can borrow money and get a home. And so we've seen all sectors locally be very robust in the last few years. And without question, prices here in our community are at historic highs. So
Wow.
it's interesting. I don't know, some of you may have got your assessments from the county recently. We just got a few in the mail, and I was scared. I think some people will be shocked, but I tell you, most folks will have very little leverage if they try to appeal the prices today. So they've gone up, and they've gone, if you're not active in our business, you will find out that prices have gone up substantially. So it's a good time to own real estate in our community. And also, in addition, Randy said we're with Stewart in the Mount Airy. We have a office in Winston-Salem as well, and our agents live in Cana and Stewart and Fancy Gap, Virginia. They live in King and Pilot and Siloam and Dobson and of course, Mount Airy, North Carolina. So we cover a good footprint with not just offices, but with personnel. Just kind of the real estate side real quick. Let me just take a few minutes. Let's talk about the auction industry for a few moments. Still, it's obviously a method of sale by accepting competitive bids. You know what auctions are. In the 70s, early 70s, Randy mentioned, he's right, early 70s, Dad hired a local tobacco auctioneer. His name's Geico. Now he's passed away. The late Geico. He was a farmer and tobacco auctioneer. He had a fast chant. He could smoke a cigarette, have a toothpick in his mouth, and drink a Pepsi and auction at the same time. I don't know how he did it, but it was amazing to watch as a young guy. He was a mentor to me, and we miss him very much. Learned a lot from him. In those days, most of the auctions were agricultural. Is that a word? Farm-based. How about that? ag based. That's even better. Ag based. And, or estates, country estates. And we often had 50, 60 of those auctions in a calendar year. An auctioneer sat in the back of a pickup just to elevate himself over the crowd and to take bids in a very open and live format and without any internet, and sometimes with paper clerking, no TVs, no internet, no cell phone. Um, we call it the old fashioned way. Did a lot of business like that, and it worked very well in that time. And most of the sellers were individuals or local families dealing with estates, farmers retiring and looking to sell their assets or downsize. And so, over the years, we did everything we could to expand that. I really say expand it out of Surrey County. Surrey County's been fabulous to us over the years, but we knew we had to grow our footprint, so we started reaching out to farm lenders and banks and bankruptcy courts, state attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, and so we grew quite a bit on the auction side in the 90s, and started adding clients like HUD. We had a contract where we sold houses across the state for HUD. They were foreclosures. And it really gave us a good, it gave us great experience, but really exposure is the word. We sold in many counties in the eastern part of the state where we really didn't have any business in those days. So prior to that, so that helped us grow to have some recognition in the industry across the state. FDIC, RTC back in the recession years ago, the banking recession, I call it banking crises maybe at that time, USDA, Farm Credit, like I said, SBA, I may be repeating myself, U.S. Marshal Service, U.S. Department of Justice, City of Charlotte, City of Mount Airy, City of Winston, City of Greensboro, City of Patrick County, or Patrick County, not City of Patrick, Patrick County, Virginia, all clients. The North Carolina Department of Transportation is a client. Even this to today, and a good number of certainly individuals and families and businesses in our region. So now that was kind of then. What about today? Almost all of our auctions today have an online component, and some are 100% online only. I mean, internet bidding without an auctioneer. We call that online only. Online only. You can only bid online. It's grown well before COVID, and COVID's just continued to create a need for that type of marketing. But we often have auctions today with a live auctioneer, and there's still a web component. We call it webcast. So the auctioneers call in bids, and over the webcast, bidders can bid and participate. In fact, behind me up there, you see this screen. We can sit here at this conference table with a PA system wired into the computer, and over the TV, which is on the wall behind me, we can accept bids from literally anywhere in the world. But we've done that for the City of Charlotte recently. We'll do it again for them in May. And so we'll sit in this conference room and sell maybe 200 trucks, cars, and tractors sitting in Charlotte, North Carolina, near the airport for the city. Our staff will be 100% in this office building in Mount Airy. And the auctioneer will be calling bids, but 100% of bids will be relayed via the computer, and we'll see them on the screen. So we may see, it may say, it'll tell us where they're at. So it may say, Florence, South Carolina, Roanoke, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, you get it. All that's on the screen, and the high bids are posted. We relay the bids and say sold, and we sell it to someone in a remote location. A very prominent method today, very effective. The world has changed because in those 70s, 80s, perhaps early 90s, the live auction had a big crowd with little to no internet presence. Certainly not 70s, early 80s, but today we have, in a lot of cases, small crowds if you have a live event, and you have large crowd or large number of participants on the internet. People, they can bid from their phone, they can bid from a laptop, and so some just choose not to come mix in a crowd. Okay, we understand that. And then some just as a matter of convenience will use the internet. So that's all changed. Where are we today? Good grief. This morning I've had calls on our working with our email server and insurance, and we're trying to look into the future as best we can. We've hired what I call an expert in transition of a firm as we look into the future. Again, Randy reminded me, here soon, and I'll have my real estate license 40 years. 40 years. It's a bit shocking. And so, but what's next? We'll not be here forever. And so, we have Dustin's on the call, our son, and he's a full-time auctioneer with Ritchie Brothers, the largest heavy machinery auctioneer in the entire world. He's traveled the globe multiple times selling heavy machinery. And then on the backside that you don't see, he's a financial consultant for our firm as well. Our daughter Dayton's at Renfro Corporation and happily employed there. Nephew Samuel's in law school at South Carolina, and so there is another generation, and we're looking at how we may transfer to them and what happens if they don't want any part of it in 5-10 years from now. So, and we are putting money in that and hiring third-party professionals to help us do a good job as best we can for that, because we want the company to continue and be a part of this community, obviously forever and ever. But we greatly appreciate you all, on the call. We have first-time clients, repeat clients. We have our I see Serena and Sandra. We've had calls and emails even this morning about Facebook and Google and a paper ad, and that's just, all of you all mean so much to us. So we're nothing without you. I mean, absolutely nothing. The rules of business have become more complex, and I just remind people we do everything we can to treat everybody with the absolute utmost respect and with by all means the highest road of ethical standards. And one thing we've noticed recently is it's common for I'll call it mid-priced home to have 3, 4, 5, and 6 offers in sometimes hours, but certainly over 2 or 3 days. Deidre and I put a sign in the yard yesterday on a little home, and it showed 3, 4 times yesterday, and she could take, I don't know, I expect she'll have 5 offers by end of day or tomorrow. And the way that works, it's somewhat like an auction. We don't call it an auction, but we often we do everything we can, of course, to get the best fair price for all the parties concerned. And if you've got one successful purchaser, sometimes we see, we have 4 people, they're not so happy because they didn't get the home and there's not a lot of other inventory. So sometimes we get rumblings from folks saying, I wish, what about me, and why didn't I get it? And I don't like the way that was handled. And it's frustrating that it's good for the real estate industry that the demand is really competitive for the property. But it's also, some people feel like they're rubbed wrong when they realize they didn't get up the home and they don't have any other second, third options because they don't exist. Deidre looked for an investor friend of ours a couple of days ago, called, said, I need a home, 150 or less. I need it today. I'll pay you tomorrow. And he would. His check would be good. And she went to Surrey County, not Mount Airy. She went to Surrey County on her multiple listing service, searched 150,000 or less, and one property was available. So you see how why it's so competitive, almost no inventory. So that's where we are. We try to treat everybody with grace and class, and but we're bullish on the industry. We're bullish on Mount Airy. We're bullish on Southwest Virginia and Northwest North Carolina, and we're excited to be a part of this community, to live here, to work here, to interact with you all, and just thankful to call this area home, and appreciate your listening to my pitch this morning and my spiel. And
I appreciate that, Mark.
I see some chats coming in, but we're glad to take your questions.
Question I wanted to ask Mark was, you know, of the company as a whole, what percentage are you on the auction side? What percentage of the business is auction side versus real estate that is residential commercial?
Okay, good question. Today, we're probably tracking 70% real estate transactions or brokerage transactions and 30% auction. It
Right.
changes year to year, but the last few years, this real estate industry has been super robust.
Well, there were a few things I wanted to add, basically just to stress. Can you Mark and I are in the same room, so we're getting an echo in here.
Yeah.
But basically, the fact that we deal worldwide. One of our agents actually closed on a property this past week for people from Hawaii moving here. So, and something else I like to stress is to the chamber members and the people who are local, that we focus on this area. And it is a huge asset for us. I think I had a client or a person who bought a house that I was representing the seller, and basically the agent wasn't from here. And after the transaction was over, I just made the comment, "Oh, how did you find your agent?" And they said, "Oh, we clicked local expert on a site," and the agent wasn't even from here. And it, my stress is, if you don't choose our company, support the local agents, because we are here, we know the community, and it's like I said, if you don't choose us, I wish you would, but if you don't, support the local agents, because they're the ones that support the community. And also stressing the fact too, we are successful because we have the cream of the crop. Our staff, I would put any agent in our office up to say they are top of the line. And if you ever work with one that aren't, I hope you'll call Mark or I and say, "Hey, we had a bad experience," because of the fact, I do take pride in the agents here. We once had an agent say to us, she came in here from a company in Winston-Salem, and she said, "I was very hesitant to come here because it is a family business." And I told her, I said, "Don't talk to Mark or I or Susan. Go to somebody else in the office and say, tell me your opinion." And one of our agents, who is still here and who is one of our top agents, made the comment to her and said, "When you walk through that door, you become family." And that's what makes our company successful.
Here, are there any developers out there looking to build new homes in Mount Airy? It seems to be more people than houses right now.
If there are, we want them. we could use a dozen houses right now and sell them instantly. We got buyers and we have no inventory.
We're also in an odd place because cost of materials are outrageous, and of course land is expensive to develop. So it's interesting. I do believe in the next few years we'll see some new home developments come on. The demand is there. It's almost like it's more of a pricing challenge today, Randy.
Right.
So
Right.
And I don't know that things are going to get cheaper, but
Right.
The demand is out there.